Geno Smith officially now with the Raiders, officially under contract with a 2-year, $75 million extension. They gave up a third-round pick to get Geno Smith. It was the third-round pick they got in the Davante Adams trade. And as I said earlier in the week, the Jets, and it wouldn't take much sodium pentothal to get them to tell you, what the hell did we do giving up that third-round pick for a cup of coffee with Davante Adams? But they did. They did. Now Geno Smith, who's on kind of sort of a year-to-year arrangement with the Raiders, although it's probable that he's going to get at least 2. He has access, Myles, to the GOAT, who is the minority owner but one of the majority voices of the Las Vegas Raiders right now. Here's Geno Smith from earlier in the week talking about the fact that Tom Brady is part of the structure that's available to Geno.
I got a chance to talk to him. I went to his home and got a chance to just spend about an hour and just talk ball with him and just talk life. And you understand why he is who he is immediately. He takes everything extremely serious. He's a diligent worker and he believes in hard work. And I think we align in that way. And I want to be a sponge. I want to soak up as much knowledge as I can from him. I want to learn as much as I can from him. The greatest quarterback to play the game. I mean, there's so many things that you can learn.
It is a hell of an opportunity for Geno Smith to have access to Tom Brady. Regardless of how suited he is to be or not be an NFL owner, and whether he's capable of making good personnel decisions and studying film, and whether he's even willing to put in the time, I still think back to when Dan Marino took his first job with the Dolphins, which was a real job. And after a couple of weeks, he's like, holy crap, this is work. I'm out. I mean, there's only so much of this that Tom Brady's going to do. Case in point. I thought whether or not he'd be at the league meetings would be a good litmus test for how all in he really is with this. And I didn't see Tom Brady there. I didn't hear Tom Brady was there. I mean, if you're really all in with everything it takes to be part of the league fabric and structure, you're at the league meetings because that's an important time. So I think he wants to drive by some of these things, but to the extent that he's willing to take the time and talk to Geno Smith and impart wisdom to Geno Smith, it can't hurt. It's not going to make Geno Smith a lesser quarterback. So this may be exactly what Geno Smith needs to kind of polish off any remaining rough spots in his game, and he's underrated at this point. Tom Brady's influence and advice, it could make a huge difference.
It certainly could, and it's funny you said suited because, look, the Raiders now, I think, understand better than any organization that you don't have to wear suits at these press conferences. Yes. Look at this. No more ties. Pete Carroll came in his introductory press conference looking like he just did right there. Quarter zip and a button down. I love that look. It works for him, and it works for all of them. Spytek wearing the hoodie. I love what the Raiders have done this offseason. Yeah, look at this. Geno Smith just going with the crew neck under that, right? Like in the Raiders hat. Look,
Geno's hat is awesome. I've been meaning to say this all week because we've played several clips from this. Just the isolated Raiders logo without the shield. That is awesome.
Yes. The autumn wind is a pirate.
That would look good with my Satrial's tracksuit.
It would, actually. Yes. Yeah. I love the Raiders style. Like everything. Yeah. The Raiders are just one of those franchises that you hope gets good because when the Raiders are good, I think it's better for the league. So I'm hoping that things will work out there for Geno Smith and Pete Carroll and Spytek and Tom Brady. I would love to hear from Tom Brady at some point. I know we won't, but about what it is he's doing with the Raiders and his vision for the Raiders, because he's right now it's just Godfather-ish. He's just in the shadows and, kind of doing the puppet strings and whatnot. But he seems to at least have a vision for what it should look like with the Raiders and how they should play football and the way that they're going to be constructed as a team. And apparently shares that vision with Spytek and with Pete Carroll. And that's all well and very good. I would love to hear from him on what that is going to look like. But to this point, I think the Raiders have had a very good offseason. I think of all the teams that have changed quarterbacks, this is the team that upgraded the most with the best available option. So, if you look at it that way and look at the, kind of what they've been putting out there at quarterback for the last 2 years, and I say this with all due respect to Aiden O'Connell, this is this is a really bad situation that has been upgraded to somebody that can run an offense competently and at his best can be very, very good. So I'm interested to see who they add in the draft, what it is that they do. I mean, they're another team that in theory could draft Shedeur Sanders. I don't know if they would necessarily want to do it as early as they are in the top 10, but they still could, because it's not like Geno Smith is 30, right? He's getting into his upper 30s. So like they're another team that could draft and, stash a quarterback for a couple of years and then let's see what happens. But to this point, I really do like what the Raiders have done this offseason, starting with Geno Smith.
There is a play here where a team could trade down and then see if Shedeur Sanders slips down to their lower spot. That's how the Ravens, I believe, got Joe Flacco in 2008. I think they traded out of the top 10 for the Jaguars to come up and get a pass rusher who didn't work out. I think it was pick 8. And then the Ravens went down into the lower teens and got Flacco. And, like, if they had to put in the card when they did, they would have put Flacco on it, but they knew they could work the point. Hell, they did the same thing with Lamar Jackson. One of the draft stories, as legend has it, Steve Bisciotti, the owner of the team, is like, are we taking Lamar here? It was like 16. Are we taking Lamar here? They took Hayden Hurst, the tight end. Well, don't worry. Lamar will be there. Lamar will be there. And then at pick number 32, they swoop back in and they get Lamar Jackson. So there is a certain amount of confidence you need to have, but it's also a risk that guy's not going to be there. They traded from 8 down to 26, then back up to 18. So they did a double move to get Joe Flacco that year. Now, the other thing, too, as you mentioned, the what Tom Brady's planning to do. Were you doing the puppet strings thing? Was that what you were doing?
That's what I was doing this. Yes, yeah.
My suspicion, and it's only suspicion, and it's fueled by the fact that Tom Brady is ultra competitive and he always wants to win and he's very ambitious. This isn't all that tinfoil hat. I'd prefer the Geno Smith Raiders hat made out of tinfoil. It would be even better that way. But I think one of these days, and I may not be around to see it, one of these days, I think Tom Brady's going to be the majority owner of the Raiders. I think he's going to find a way to do basically what Art Davis, Al Davis, I was thinking Art Shell, Art Davis, Al Davis. What Al Davis did all those years ago, where he kind of like emerged and ended up owning the team when it was all said and done. I think Tom Brady's going to find a way to get the pink slip from Mark Davis by the time it's all said and done. That's my crazy throw a dart prediction. One of these days, Tom Brady is going to be the majority owner of the Las Vegas Raiders.
Okay, I mean.
I don't know how he's going to do it. I don't know. Why not? Right? Do whatever you want. Post Standards America, baby. Do whatever you want. 5D chess. Nobody's going to say boo. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.